All right. Hello, everybody. I am recording, hopefully. Um, First time in a while, I know. Uh, this is a podcast for the VBL, and the idea is I'm going to go through starting season one, week one, season one of VBL-S, go and look at one or two matches every week, all the way up until modern day. And the idea is not to be entirely analytical. Um, it's supposed to be a little more casual, just sort of discussing um, anything from what was on our mind as we were prepping to just like how we recall the season, or for week one, season one, maybe even just what we remember about the creation of the league. So it's definitely going to be more casual. We're going to go off in sort of whatever direction we want to go off in. For the first episode, well, so usually I will have one guest who played a match in whatever week we're on. But for the first episode, very special, two very special guests, Braff and Daddy, both original mods, both have been playing like me since week one, season one, and are still around today. So if you
Yeah,
guys want to say
so
hi.
age before beauty. So yeah, I remember the creation of the league, and this league started out as a beginners league. Believe it or not, it is no longer that. And the first like week I remember was just kind of like a big collection of people from all over the world that like wanted to play draft league, but nobody really knew like what the hell to do. You guys
Yeah,
remember that?
yeah. I can jump back into that, but I will just say, before we start, we're looking at me and Braff week one, season one. The replays will be linked in the description, and we're not gonna watch it live. We're not gonna commentate over it again, so that we can be a little more casual and a little more detached from the game itself, and just sort of shoot the shit, for lack of a better term. All right. But back to Daddy's point, creation of the league. I remember I just was watching. I feel like a lot of us were watching. I don't even remember the name at this point. The whatever.
Oh, WBEVGC.
Mm,
Yes,
It was the
that.
one that Wolfie was in because we were all
Yes,
casuals.
yeah.
yep.
So I had gotten into Wolfie just because like I was playing Pokemon during the pandemic, and he started popping up on my YouTube. I watched. I remember the first videos I watched were the like how to team build, the like like how to play VGC basically videos.
Oh,
Um,
the what was it called? Like Pokemon Academy or something like that.
Something like that. They were a little old at that point already, but they were popping up on my all over my YouTube. So I watched those. Uh, Foolishly, I think, started making my own teams and just started playing like that. I didn't do any rentals at the beginning. Um, Got okay, and then wanted to start a league, so I just went on Reddit, I believe r/VGC, and was just
Yeah,
like,
it
hey,
was. I remember
hey,
joining.
yeah,
Yeah.
hey, who wants to be in a draft league? And I remember, maybe Daddy could speak a little more to this. I remember very clearly that Daddy was one of the first, well, obviously one of the first, but like very immediately off the bat, like passionate. And like, this is why he became a mod, is just because he was like in go, go, go mode immediately after responding to my Reddit post.
Yeah, I remember that too because it was kind of like, okay, guys, like let's figure this out. And then I was like, oh shit, this is like a real beginners league. And I had been in one league before, so I was kind of an expert at the time. So I was like, hey, we're gonna steal their Google Doc. We're gonna use this to organize the league, and we're just gonna start drafting like right away. And then you're like, all right, this guy's a mod. And then I remember Braff was
What the?
talking a lot at the time. And you're like, all right, that guy's a mod too. Let's
Yeah,
go. This is the
that's.
team.
I
What
was gonna say that's exactly what happened. Braff just joined the disc. Well, so he obviously responded
I was the
also.
first person to join the Discord. I'm
Yeah,
looking back at this.
and he was just like talking a lot in the Discord, very active, and I was like, yeah, I'll mod him. He seems like I feel like
Yeah, why
it
not?
could have failed in so many different ways, and it just didn't, which I feel like is very funny. Like I was just like, you guys were just like kind of the first heads that popped up, and I was like, mods, which
Yeah, and then
Okay,
we just
Daddy.
we just kind of got it rolling from there, right? Like
yeah,
the draft started pretty quickly after that, and then we had a very solid group the first season. We only had one drop, and
yeah,
other than that, like we had quite a few people that stuck around for a while too.
yeah. I mean, original members include Steve, JDB, Poppin, AC. Like I guess AC isn't still in the league, but lots of longtime veterans. right?
Yeah, looking back, the first two people to join after me were Minty and Smoothie. So
Oh, I miss those
I
guys.
missed,
Yeah,
missed them. Yeah, Daddy. Then it was you. Then KC.
classics. Oh yeah, I forgot about KC. Yeah, so a lot of
And
very good group season 1. I feel like that's the meeting place
Shadow.
where we got lucky. 16 people. I guess maybe with the exception of one, because you said one drop. So I guess 15 out of 16, just like
What was
really
that?
willing to
Brit,
get it
right?
going. Brit,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
Brit.
Although he or she, I
Brit.
don't even remember.
Yeah.
But they
It was-
texted me at some point later, and they had some like genuine reason. Because I remember since then we've had a lot of drops who just like ghost and like, vanish forever.
Yeah.
And of course, we're gonna get to it eventually. But we also had the Relaxa Saga, the most famous
Oh my god,
lever of all time.
the best week
Oh my
of my
God.
life.
Cleft Key.
That's when BBRAFF went
Cleft Key
fucking
made her rage
mad
quit.
power.
Oh.
When BBRAFF was pinging everybody constantly.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I was
like,
being so
stop
like.
it.
I mean, like, she was kind of valid because like I was picking everybody for the most random stuff.
Oh yeah, it was super dumb what you were doing for
But-
sure.
But yeah, just turn off notifications or something.
Yeah, right.
It's just a classic moment.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and we're gonna, as we make our way through all of the seasons, we're gonna have a lot of classic moments. So,
And that's also when all the like shit talking between mostly me and you guys started, right?
yeah, when did that start? So what? That was like season 2-ish, season 3.
Yeah, season 2 or
Yeah.
3, I think, something like that.
I think once we got more comfortable, it sort of naturally grew out from there, right? Because we
Okay.
Yeah, there's not as much smack talk anymore. We got to bring that back. I know people keep saying they're gonna bring it back, but then nobody actually does.
Well,
you know?
I started to at the beginning of the season, and then I went 0-6 for the first 6 weeks of the season, so there wasn't much smack talk I could do.
Well, I continued to do it for a little while because I started out hot, and then I lost 5 games in a row, so I couldn't say much either.
It happens.
Okay.
It happens.
I'm looking back again,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the first messages is me suggesting we're trying to figure out names for the season,
Yeah.
and it's the MFIOIS7. Mr. Fish is overpowered in Series 7.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
It's probably good we
Yeah.
didn't stick with that one, to be
And
honest.
Yeah.
it wasn't
Like,
even overpowered.
VBL-S just has a catchiness to it. I like VBL-S. I'm happy
Yeah.
to land.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
the actual thing it stands for is kind of
Oh,
generic,
it's
but
super lame. But
Yeah.
nobody uses the real name. People just use
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
It just,
Most people don't even know it. We could just change
exactly.
it right
It
now.
just,
I mean, yeah,
all
we
that-
changed it from Showdown to Standard.
Yeah.
all that matters, and we changed it from beginner to battle. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you
Exactly.
have a catchy abbreviation. VBLS.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. That's like half of our success
Works.
because VBLS sounds cool.
Yeah, it does. And also I think the community that we've built is kind of what maintains us. You know, we still get a lot of people joining today,
Mhm.
and I think it's because there's so much like discussion that goes into everything.
Mhm.
Sometimes too much, but it's good, right?
I disagree. All discourse is good, even if it's not productive. In fact, we should have more unproductive discourse because when I'm arguing with people, it's fun. Also,
We don't.
Jordan is the most entertaining. Well, actually, we have a lot of good arguers. We have Electric.
Okay, Sly
we have
is
Jordan,
very entertaining
we have
because some
Sly.
of the rabbit holes are
How could I even
crazy.
forget Sly? Sly, Electric, and Jordan are probably
Yes.
the top 3. But if I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry because we have a lot of great arguers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like to argue too, but yeah, those guys are good. Sly really knows how to get people going, you know.
Mhm.
Sly.
My favorite
Ar-
follow me mod of BDSP.
Right.
That was so amazing because that was that was like multiple like dozens of messages back and forth, and then it all boiled down to like he thought that something had followed me that just simply doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? That's so classic. See, we need
Okay.
more
We should
discourse like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into season 1.
Yeah,
Season 1.
true.
Yeah.
Very
Get on
true.
topic.
Yes.
What was your guys like draft plan in season 1? Because for me, I like when we were getting into it, everybody was like brand new, and I felt like I knew so much after playing 1 season in like a terrible league. I was just like, I'm just gonna draft mons that I've like never really used before that look like fun. That was my like strategy, and I
Yeah.
had a pretty bad team overall, I would say.
I want to find my draft, honestly, just to find my draft position. I feel like I was 15th out of 16.
Yeah, you were 15th.
Because I'm always 15, but yeah. So
You're like always 15.
I was,
You were
I think
15.
I don't even remember what my other plans were, but as a novice to VGC, I just saw Excadrill and T-Tar there at 15, and I was like, oh, these two are dominating the ladder right now. It's weather, go fast. These are all good things, and that was that. And then from there, next two picks were Reuniclus and Mimikyu. So I did have some like real ideas about negating type weaknesses because I really hard focused that fighting weakness, which I think is smart. And then other than that, it was just like jazz.
Yeah, I remember. I knew going in, so I had only really played on what do we call it? Like, well, I played both on cart and ladder. I first got into VGC. I didn't even know that Showdown existed for a while, so I only played on cart, and I used Sunroom rental team. So I loved Venusaur.
Yes.
Yes, and I knew, and
only
I was
person
looking at the WBE draft again. I saw Venusaur went at like 6. I was wondering if I was overdrafting it at 3, but I don't think I was. My plan was Venucle, but then both Cole and Ninetales ended up getting picked before my next pick.
Oh yeah.
So, so I knew I wanted Venucle, but there's no Cole, there's no Ninetales, so I pivoted to Talonflame, which worked.
And
Man,
that
it's
was
crazy
good,
that
yeah.
you guys remember this much because BBRAFF, you were still in diapers at the time of the first draft, weren't you?
I know. I was a freshman. It's crazy.
Oh, that's so crazy to think about. I remember like finally finding out how old you guys were, and then BBRAFF, like like kind of watching you guys grow up from the through the goggles of VGC. It was really interesting, man.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I don't know, Daddy, what was your like you said big picture, you felt like you knew a lot more than everybody else, but did you have any Oh, you had the first pick.
He did.
Did I?
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, you
had
took
you
Togekiss.
first picked Togekiss.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember like the first like 6 seasons, I either had like first pick or second or like 16th.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
I always had
you were definitely rigging it, even though
It
I
felt
did it
like
half
it,
the time.
yeah.
I randomized it half the time.
After
and
like the
Daddy
third
was rigging
season,
it.
I was kind of worried somebody was gonna like call us out because it seemed like it was rigged. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I always get 15. Like
You always
not
get
even
15, 16, 14. You
Well,
always get the end.
No, not even vicinity. I've had 15 like 4 different times, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Which
bizarre.
is an okay pick, right?
Oh,
It's
I like
okay.
it. I mean, I got 16 once, I think. Too.
It's the fourth best pick in the draft.
You got 16 and you did great things with it, but that's for a future episode.
I actually disagree that it's the 4th best pick because getting a top end mon is so important. And I mean that maybe that's some like more draft analysis that we could.
It depends on the format.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm
know
looking at this draft right now. I see like toward the top. I see like Rillaboom, Gmax Rillaboom, the Indeedys, Venusaur Gmax. Like those are. I don't know that there was anything that much better than T-Tar, which I picked at 15, and the other ones are just so much better. Like yeah, Dusclops is probably a better Pokemon. That went in the 2nd round, but you're not building a draft team around Dusclops. Like these true and you don't need a superstar talent to build a good draft team, but everything is easier when you have your Rillaboom or your Dragapult or whatever in this format. You know, whatever the top mon is in the format.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be kind of interesting again with the Paradox Mons coming back for the next draft. I feel like the top picks are going to be way more important than maybe ever.
Yeah, but, this is not pertinent for season 1, but just jumping off my point. My best season was I picked 4th or whatever. I got Metagross. Like Metagross was that team. And yes, I've done well with Goodra. I've done well with Moltres, Galar. But it is important, or it's at least makes your life a lot easier if you can get that superstar. Like I never had Celesteela, but Celesteela was always crazy good. Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning that way a little bit more now. I don't know. I feel like after picking so many super wide teams, I feel like the ones that are less wide I've done better with. I don't know. I've had very average seasons across the board. You know, I made playoffs like 5 out of 8 times and haven't won a playoff game, right? So
I think it's just like a little easier. And I guess easier is like in the eye of the beholder. Like what what's easier is what you sort of prep best with, which I think we've gotten into at points. So like, if you're really good at prepping with your wide team, making full use of 11 good Pokemon, then I think that's really valid. But just frankly, it's hard to balance all of that in prep for the entire length of a season. It can be very demanding. At least it feels like that for me.
And season 1, you were really big on Reuniclus, and it was pretty huge in this
so good.
week 1 matchup, huh?
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, it was. Go ahead.
I have PTSD.
Oh, yeah, good.
From that Nico matchup.
You'll be here for Castapnine, because that's my PTSD against you. But, yeah, Reuniclus was huge here. Reuniclus was like my only good Pokemon this season, if I remember correctly. Like looking at the stats, it was like the only like very positive mon. And
do you have the doc?
Yeah, I do somewhere. I can send it to you after.
Oh,
take some digging.
Okay.
But I can also post the pastes with the YouTube video, because I was looking at my paste and did Sigilyph even hit the field? Because this Sigilyph set is heat. Who was I? I had a Hypnosis, Gravity,
oh my God.
Tailwind, Sigilyph. That's amazing.
Sigilyph
so
is
good.
a great mon. It's so good.
I
always
was so
underpriced,
bad
in
at
my
using it in season 1. I got like no value out of it. And I really, that's like the biggest regret from season 1. Because I just know that I would have such a time with this Tail Room mon, Hypnosis, Gravity, just so many fun things. Obviously good attacks and Tinted Lens. Just a very versatile mon for basically all of Gen 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Speaking of heat sets,
Yours are so
coming
good.
back to this.
Yes.
My whatchamacallit?
Wailord?
My Luxray.
Oh.
No, the Luxray. The only attack that actually did damage was Superpower. And I ran Relaxed Nature, even though I had some speed investment instead of Adamant. I mean, not Adamant, whatever plus defense minus special attack is. Because of like Volt Switch or Snarl damage?
That is.
I don't know.
That is quite the set.
The Wailord wasn't heat. The Wailord was just good.
The Wailord was good.
But
it really
tanked
that max grass.
True.
Yeah,
Wailord
the Wailord was sick. I mean, like I didn't even remember. Well, I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, that's a cool set. But I feel like this was the beginnings of the Wonderkind arc of the VBL-S.
My sets were so much cooler back in like seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah, but you had a dominance for like 3, 4, the first 3 or 4 seasons.
He still kind of does. He still
kind of does. But the issue is his dominance has been clearly overshadowed by Tay. Tay should we should just kick Tay out of the league.
The early season dominance was AC. He was still number 1, not me.
AC too. So it was like BBRAFF,
AC.
Like they were just consistent. They were consistently
AC is
good,
like
right?
AC is like a Joel Embiid issue though. AC never won a championship. Like was AC a better player than BBRAFF? Was AC a better player than BBRAFF? Very possibly.
Yes.
Very, very possibly. But at the time, I remember just thinking like, oh man, this BBRAFF kid, like he's going undefeated every regular season except for season 1 because obviously I beat him week 1. Haha.
Yeah.
El Bozo. But you were like going undefeated like the next 3 seasons or whatever.
The next season, I had a very mid regular season.
Oh,
although
did
I ended
you?
up winning.
Whatever.
Yeah,
like
I went 6-4.
The next season was my winning team. I went nuts in season 2.
We'll get to it.
You won the finals and then straight up won every regular season game for like the next 3 seasons or something like that. I don't know if I'm misremembering, but
something like that though.
Point is,
it was close.
I was like, okay, this kid is like, he's top. Maybe you weren't in reality. Maybe it was AC or Steve or any of the other very, very, very good coaches. But I was like, okay, this kid's legit. Like he's probably the best player in the league. And then Tay comes in, the audacity to simply just win every season.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Well, BBRAFF used to have the wildest like the wildest teams. Steve is pretty well known for crazy teams, but I think BBRAFF's teams back in the day were way crazier.
I mean, this is wild.
We're normal.
Your teams were not normal. Choice band Kling
Okay.
Clang on this. Do you want to know what your 4 moves on your Choice Band Kling Clang were? Gear Grind, normal. Facade, normal. Trick Room and Volt Switch. You had Trick Room and Volt Switch on a Choice Band set. That's ludicrous. You had a 252 speed EV'd Trick Room Choice Band Kling Clang. That's absurd. You had a Black Sledge Venusaur and an Iron Ball Whaler. I think it's just incredible that you brought so much heat in the first week that we ever played. Because it was your first draft league too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think there's a lot of what helped you be so successful, I guess up until today even, but especially in those early seasons, is this sort of creativity, and we see it sort of manifesting so early. And like you mentioned, there are some weird things. Like the Luxray set seems bad, probably, but there's just a lot of creativity going on here, which
Yeah,
is
I've
very
been
cool.
waiting for that. Like, I feel like, I mean, Braff's still been consistent. You've been making playoffs and
Mhm.
everything, but I'm waiting for that wild side to come back out for you to bring the weird stuff back. You know,
Oh,
I
when
think
was it?
that's
It was it last season, the season before this, where I managed to use Sturdy, Custap, and Dever Aggron?
Oh yeah, that was
I
awesome.
was so happy. I was so happy. The
Yeah,
problem is the competition's so much higher now that I
That's
can't
true.
do this stuff
Yeah,
Yeah.
and win
and sorry to keep
because
railing.
people are actually good.
Yeah, and sorry to keep like going off on Tay, but that's what is so confusing to me about Tay is because like I don't think of myself as a particularly good coach, but at like my peak, I'm very competitive in this league. Like I think I'm a pretty good coach when I'm playing my best. I think I can match
You
up
won.
1v1 versus most people when I have a good team and I'm playing well. But I am so inconsistent, and obviously like other people have varying degrees of inconsistency, but Tay is just so consistently just totally dominant. It makes no sense.
Which is weird in a game that's so inconsistent in itself.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's
He's
absurd.
just
It is weird.
really good in general. Like he whatchamacallit, he won UBL, which had like 1 million people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He won VBL-N a few times. I feel like he's done well in other draft leagues, and at the regional that we were both at, he went like 6-2, and unfortunately missed cut because it was stupid
Resistance.
rule set back then, and they finally fixed it
Okay.
this
Got it.
year.
He's also in Dan's league, and Dan's league is a pretty like high skilled
Yeah.
floor league.
Although I don't want to keep going off on Tay. Like Tay's not even in the league yet. Like
We'll
we're
do
all
a
scared.
Tay
True.
episode
True.
before we
Yeah,
ban him out of the
We're all
league.
we're all scared of Tay. That's the point. Like people
We'll
get
do a
it.
goodbye Tay episode when we ban him from the
This
Discord.
isn't even really
True.
season 1 episode at this point, just an intro episode.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's an intro episode, but it is also a good representation of. I really do just want this to be like shooting the shit with different guests, talking about slightly different things, but also just really taking half an hour, maybe a little more, each week to just talk about whatever.
Well, let's
And-
talk briefly about how I wiped the floor with Sticky in week 1, shall we?
Ooh, okay.
Well, we don't have the
Sticky,
replays,
sticky.
so
Yeah,
so
we
give,
don't
give
have
us
the
give us
replays.
summary. Give us summary. Give us summary.
Well, the first game was demolishing as well, and then I don't know if you guys watched the second one, but it was just not
it was
really
restricted for
close.
me. I couldn't watch it.
So
Wait, was it-
again, going back
Oh,
to the
now I can
beginning of
watch
the
it.
league, I'm like, oh shit, you know, all these guys are like relatively new to not just draft, but a lot of people are new to VGC in general. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I've been around I've been playing Pokemon for 25 years or whatever, you know. I'm like, and then I win week 1 with authority, and I'm like, this league is going to be free, and it
You
turns
won
out,
because of focus miss.
is that what?
Well, that the first turn he missed a focus.
Focus
blast.
Oh yeah,
miss.
yeah, true.
Focus miss. I didn't. This was
No.
blocked for me before. Maybe you unblocked it somehow.
Wait, was your Serena not Queenly Majesty?
It was not.
No, I think
it
it was
wasn't.
sweet.
Oh, because of Amoongus.
Yeah, for Among Us.
I can.
Amoongus sucks in draft.
I'll add this on. I will also post this replay in the description as well. We don't have game 1; it's lost to history, but we do have this game 2 where Daddy wins because of focus miss. Typical.
I
Oh,
think
man.
I think this is when, like, at least for me, I knew Persian Alola would be kind of good, but I feel
Oh,
like
it's
after
so
this
good.
season, people really like started to realize like, oh, this thing is
Yeah.
incredible, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing we could talk about, right? Is like even just as granular as like the single Pokemon, the way that our opinions changed on this stuff, like Togekiss pick 1, season 1.
Yeah.
That would never happen in later seasons. Just like, it's a great ladder mon. It was a great ladder mon for basically. Actually, it fell off later in Gen 8. So that's part of it.
What did?
Togekiss, yeah. But
Yeah.
Togekiss is still great, yeah, but it's not a
but
top. It's
we
not a
thought
top
it-
5.
yeah, I mean, we thought it was such a, and I mean, maybe someone who was in the first season draft, like maybe Steve is gonna be in the comments say I had no interest in Togekiss or whatever. But
Mhm.
at least I did, and you did. Some of us at least thought it was like this great mon, but it's just like kind of underwhelming in draft. It's one of those like drafters know that it's just
I think
eh.
Yes and no. I mean, it gets redirection. It also gets those big crits. It was pretty good with Dynamax.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take it first again, but I would definitely take it in the first round.
I think I would say late first, early second. But like again, when I was talking about the top of the round mons, like Venusaur, Gmax Venusaur seems like so clearly better to me, and that was maybe considered a reach at 3, and Togekiss was totally normal at 1. Like I feel like that would have flipped.
Braff,
a
what do you
lot.
think? Do you think that in this format that you would rather have Venusaur than Togekiss in
I
draft?
think among season 1, where people were still like new,
Mhm.
Venusaur's better.
Mhm.
I think that the versatility of Togekiss would be better now. Like I think
yeah.
that
Maybe.
I think that Togekiss is very good and should be a top half of the first round pick.
All right, maybe I'm
in
skewing
Series
on
5, because
yeah.
It hasn't met the expectation of being the best mon in the league, right? I'll say that.
Yeah.
And also, it depends on which coach has it, right? I'm a pretty like mid-level coach, so if I have it, it's not going to look as good as if like
Yeah.
Tay has it or something, right?
Yeah, but and I don't know what the tier is on Persian, but I think it was like lower. I think it was like tier 3-ish.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3.
And that's round 4. Like if it was a low tier, even if it wasn't a low tier, I think by like end of Gen 8, I think that was going like round 2, round 3 maybe. But you got it with the last pick in the 4th round. I think that specifically not happening in even like season 4, season 5, VBL-S.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think so too. I think that mon is probably going in the first couple rounds. I think Primarina was also like tier 2 or something, which
It was.
the
That's
tiers
a
were
bad
so,
tier.
the tiers were so dumb. The tiers were so dumb.
Well, we didn't know anything. They were like, we didn't know anything, but they were like, to be honest, what's kind of funny is they were pretty similar to WBE tiers.
Mhm.
They
We
we
might
copied
have even
WB.
lifted it.
They were
Yeah,
we
we stole it
literally
from
just used the same list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
We didn't know any better.
it's kind of funny how far we are. Like, I am quite confident that no matter how good, like group of VGC players is, if you get like a, similar draft group together of like Wolfie, Cybertron, I think 10 times out of 10 we're making a better tier list at this point.
Absolutely.
They
so
don't play as much draft.
Right.
I know, but it's so funny.
So that
'cause,
it makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, oh, we can make a better tier list than the pros. That seems kind of weird.
Well,
right?
it's like if we played them, like even if I played Wolfie in a draft match, I think he would destroy me. But it's just so funny how, and like, frankly, I think there's an argument that I don't really want to have, but there's probably an argument to be had that like some of the things that we've learned are probably overlearned or just flat out wrong. But I feel like we have developed such a particular taste for draft mode, which I just think is interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like to play Pokemon outside of draft anymore, really.
Yeah, it ruins it because draft is better.
Yeah, agreed. And when I was younger, I used to. I know, Braff. I see you playing Madden sometimes.
I'm playing Madden all the time recently.
Oh, I've been playing Madden
When I
so
was-
much lately. It's COVID.
Yeah, when I was your guys' age, I played all the time, and my favorite thing to do with my friends was to do a draft. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you could still do that in the game, but we would just like really
Nice.
quickly go through a draft and like build a team and play against each other.
Fantasy draft.
Yeah. So we would just
doing
like
that.
do that, and then like the game's over, and then we would just run it back and do a new draft like over
Yeah.
and over again. It was just so much fun.
And I do have to say, I feel like I'm much better at draft when I actually do play some ladder and understand. Like, and maybe that's just a weird thing for me, because I like to play with what I'm comfortable with. Like before the Gold Trace season, the reason I was so in on Gold Trace was because I had dominated with on ladder with that, because it just doesn't die and you just click
Yeah,
against the
it's
plot over and over again.
Unbelievably strong back then. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of, even though like a lot of times like I would just prefer to do draft, and I guess maybe that's why I like doing the mock drafts so much, and even doing some mock battles with those mock drafts. We should definitely do that for next season.
Yeah.
Because practice really does, like, even at the, and again, there are much better players than me who don't need as much practice to be better than me, but I think I do a lot better when I have some sort of practice, and that gives me good ideas to go off of, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This season I had no practice. I didn't play at all in the
Exactly,
format,
same. I
and
played
it was like a rude awakening.
Exactly. I played 2 games. I was like,
Um,
I just want to see like what this does, and it was a disaster. It was so bad.
Yeah,
I
getting-
played a good chunk of early ladder,
Mhm.
but it was like early ladder, so it was like the meta was definitely different. And I ended up never actually making it to Master Ball. I kept getting stuck in Ultra Ball, which was really annoying.
Yeah.
But doing that let me know that I wanted Grimmsnarl and I wanted Ceruledge, and then Ceruledge
Yeah.
got sniped. But like just help me get a sense of it. But like it's Pokemon at the end of the day, you don't really need it normally.
Do you want to see this masterful segue? Which I'm ruining by
Okay.
saying, do you want to see this masterful segue?
Okay.
Grimmsnarl, first of all, yes, love Grimmsnarl in Gen 9. Screens, I've been using Klefki, are so good in Gen 9. And I typically feel like I just like, oh, screens are cool or whatever. But I don't typically think of them as like a central, especially in draft, I don't think of them as like a central, or I haven't thought of them as like a central plan. But maybe I'm wrong, because screens are, I feel like they're always so much stronger than you realize. They proc so much damage. It's crazy.
They ruin everybody's
and
calcs too, right?
The segue is BBRAFF. I see you have Klefki on this team.
Of course I had Klefki on this team.
You have a dual screens Klefki on this team. How did you feel about screens in Season 1? How did that make your life easier? Or how did you enjoy prepping with that?
Here. Let me see. Oh, okay. I'm just a little mad right now because I have all my teams from VBL-S every season except Season 1 right now.
Okay.
Because I think it got deleted, so I can't see how often I use screens that year.
Oh, okay. I mean, your first paste is a sashed, dual screens, dazzling gleam, rain dance set with max special attack actually.
Because of Sash. That was my mindset. I have Sash. Might as well have max special attack.
Well, that's smart, but do you... Okay, like, I'll say... Well, I guess you have Grim this year.
Yeah.
Would you... How likely are you to run, like, a Sash Grim? Just because you know you can set up that screen, give yourself a little more survivability.
Sash Grim with screens, not much this format. If there was Dynamax, I'd probably run it a lot more. But because with screens and there's no Dynamax, it can live hits normally. Anyway, but sometimes, like this, like it wouldn't, Klefki wouldn't live a extra drill max quake through a reflect.
Oh yeah, very true.
So that was what the Sash was for.
Oh yeah, can we also
just to chime in real quick? We're at that 30-minute mark, so I don't know if you want to start winding down.
I was about to say I was going to jump in with that at some point. I didn't want to ruin too much.
I know. Yeah, I had to be the guy. Sorry.
Yeah, we could. Yeah. I'd say. Yeah, we can wind up a little. The only thing I was about to say was, oh man, just looking at these pastes, like some of this stuff I really like, but oof, choice band Excadrill. I just was not in the right mindset for this. Like I needed to be maxing, and this was a thing I did throughout the season. I think just like doing stuff that made it make less sense to max Excadrill when my plan should have simply been to max Excadrill and kill stuff, which I think is funny.
Yeah, this is the kind of format where Excadrill would just run away with every game if you wanted it to, right?
Yeah, but I simply decided that I was gonna like click choice banded high horsepowers because even
this
in season
now
one,
that to go back really quickly to mons that I personally at least, and I think other people probably agreed with me at the time, did not think were good at all. Hitmonchan is a really good draft mon.
Yeah, I had some good intuition stuff. I knew Hitmonchan would be good because coaching is great, and coaching was on this set.
Coaching is so good. But it's so hard to use it.
I drafted coughing. I don't think I ever brought that, but that's some. I would do that. I would do that now. Like that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Coughing last round. Litten sucks. I've had Litten like 9 times, and it has never touched the field. It's garbage.
But it's baby instant. It has to be good.
It's garbage.
It has intimidate and fake out. And
Hitmonchan is so good. Oh, and last thing on the draft for me, and then you guys can jump in with if you have any other big things you want to talk about, or we can wrap up. But last thing on the draft, I think from watching WBE, I think I heard this from like Wolfie, or like if Moxie was in it, maybe Moxie. That
Moxie was in it.
yeah,
think.
I feel like it was a Moxie thing then, because I vaguely remember that it was a Moxie thing. The idea that because there's a Gmax tier, you can hold off and still get a good Pokemon later. That is not true.
That's not true at all.
There's such a big difference between Venusaur and Appleton. Appleton was garbage. And granted, me today could probably, my current form, I could probably make good use of Appleton. I would just Leech Seed, Iron Defense. I would be a garbage person. But I had no idea how to use Appleton. Why was I drafting Appleton? What could have gone right?
I need a dragon type, probably, right? Is what you're thinking? Something like that.
No, it was the only Gmax Pokemon left. Like Orbeetle went last, which Orbeetle is actually worse.
Orbeetle's better than Appleton. Gmax.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The Gmax one. Orbeetle's better
Okay,
than
but
Appleton.
my intention was to have Appleton and never max it, and just like have an Appleton for free, which was stupid.
That sucks.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm looking at this draft now. Grimmsnarl, Gmax Grimmsnarl went round 5. That's a good example of we would not draft like this anymore. Grimmsnarl, Gmax.
Well, I don't think was Grimmsnarl super popular in Series 5?
I don't know.
I
But
think people didn't want to use their Gmax slot on it, right? I
Yeah,
think they
but-
wanted more offense.
I think the point is you don't Gmax that Pokemon. You just get a free amazing Pokemon in the tier that everybody needs. Because we had, for people who weren't in Season 1, we had a required Gmax tier. You had to draft exactly one Gmax Pokemon. And they were separate from their normal D-Max.
But then you didn't
forms.
get that Gmax offense, right?
It doesn't
you know?
matter. It doesn't matter.
But
It's
at the
just-
time, that's kind of what we were thinking. I'm
like,
sure.
This is I forget. Oh my god, how Avent's team. Avent had Goodra.
Time guy.
Yeah, Goodra was the max target. Like it doesn't matter. Which
That
I think
team
we
was so
would know
cracked.
now. I think Grimmsnarl. I can't believe I missed this. Grimmsnarl would be a top Gmax Grimmsnarl if we did this board again. Would be top 5 pick definitely, and I would pick it
No.
first overall. I would pick
I
it first
disagree.
overall. No.
Yeah,
you're
I
wrong.
don't know about Gmax Grimmsnarl.
I think that in this format, more overwhelming offense is more important, and
Yeah,
so
I
like
think so, too.
Rillaboom and Venusaur and all those guys.
But
like,
Grim
go.
could do that. Grim, and then you later get Hitmonchan, Bullet Punch it, easy offense.
Pickpocket so it's like weakness policy, and then you just pickpocket to grab a Assault Vest or Light Orb or something.
I
Is
was
that the
not
play?
I was not thinking that, but honestly, yeah, because I forgot that Prankster is useless for a max Pokemon. So actually,
I think
yes.
if you're gonna get like, I think you would want like Charizard, like Venusaur, like that kind of Gmax first, and then if it dips into the like pretty mid tier Gmaxes,
Maybe.
then I would go for Grimmsnarl, right?
Maybe.
But
I just think Grimmsnarl is such an improvement on like the average Gmax Mon. Like in
Well,
terms
that's
of
your fault for taking Appleton.
what?
yeah, true.
Well, yeah, no,
Well,
but like opportunity cost, the Gmaxes I would prefer Venusaur. End of list.
Not
You
Charizard.
guys remember what
No,
Steve's
Charizard-
Gmax was?
Rock types exist. Rock
What
type
did
moves
Steve have?
exist.
Dreadnought or something?
What was Steve's Gmax?
Dreadnought.
Dreadnought?
I don't know. I'm just making that up. It seems like Steve would pick something like
I
that.
just took your word for that. So I have to find his team. His team is the P2 team. So which team is that? Porygon 2. Oh, it was Cinderace. It was first round.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
See,
one.
that's a
Oh
good
yeah,
Gmax
because you
one.
did the Electro Ball set.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Did
Coaching.
did he have the
also did
Gmax
coaching
one or the
against
normal
you.
one? He had the Gmax
He
one?
had the Gmax.
Okay.
Oh, that was a wild set.
Oh, he also did the coaching set against me.
Guys,
Coaching
imagine
Alex
Terra
Ocean.
with Gmax. Like you could do both.
I mean, it would be terrible. It would
be
That'd
too
be
much.
awesome.
Well,
Oh my God.
I'm gonna make a closing statement here because
Okay.
I gotta dip off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing to me about this league is when it happened too, because it was like during COVID,
Yes.
and it was a time that just kind of sucked for everybody. I can't even imagine being your guys' age at that
Yeah.
time and like missing that first experience at like going to high school and like meeting new people, making new friends. It was tough as an adult. So like for you guys, I'm sure it sucked. And this league kind of introduced us to this group of nerds from like all ages, backgrounds, all corners of the world and stuff. And I just thought that was like really cool. And I've made some like, I wouldn't say like the best friends or something like that. You know what I mean? But it's pretty cool that there's like people that I can talk to about it. It starts out talking about this video game and then we end up talking about other stuff. And I think that the sense of like community that we've built here is really cool. And I'm glad that you guys helped start it. So
Yeah. Thank you for that, Daddy. Very good closing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have a few words also in a closing sense, but more about the content because I think as far as like a conclusion of the podcast, that's perfect. Definitely agree wholeheartedly with you, Daddy. Just as far as the podcast goes, so I'm gonna try to keep making these weekly. Optimistically, I will be reaching out to coaches who, I'm interested in for whatever given week. Also, if you want to just reach out to me and say, I'm interested, I want to be on this podcast this week, or just in general, I want to be on the pod whenever you can get me on, let me know. And then last thing is in the comments, leave reviews. Like this is a very new, very offbeat from most of the content around the league. So if you like it, definitely that's great. Let us know. If you don't, I'm sorry. But more importantly, if you have any sort of constructive criticism of what I can do to sort of improve this podcast, make it more enjoyable, let me know. Again, I'm going to try to keep it casual. So if it's be more analytical, and probably just, I'm sorry, there's a lot of other content that you can watch. I don't think that's what I want this to be. But if you have other suggestions, just as far as what this should be, if it should be more structured, how it could be more structured, definitely let me know. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening.
Oh,
yeah.
I have something. Two things. One,
Yes.
if you want more analytical, watch Draftables.
Yes, watch Jordan, the
Okay.
Jordan
and
VGC,
subscribe.
but also OMG It's
Yeah.
Daddy, another one of my favorite YouTubers, but also all the other YouTubers. I don't want to. I kind of want to like list a bunch off, but I feel like I'm gonna miss some people, so I'm simply not going to.
We'll
They'll
do some
be
other
on.
time.
They'll be here.
Yeah, you know them. Go watch all their videos. They have better analysis than me anyway. Is that it?
Okay.
We're done.
And before we end it,
Okay.
I need to know for each of you, what's your hype pick and how far in your March Madness brackets?
Oh my God. All right. On that note, goodbye everybody.
No, wait. What's your
Oh,
hype pick,
okay.
Samix?
I haven't
okay.
watched a sport unless it starts with E in years. So
Okay.
I'm just a nerd
So-
now.
You want to know how I do March Madness, Braff? I don't
How do you do
watch
March Madness?
any college basketball, and maybe that will
Me
change
neither.
when I go to college. I don't watch any college basketball until March Madness, so I don't know who's good. So what I do is I take probabilities and I run RNG
Alright.
and just let a simulation pick my bracket for me. And
Okay. So what's your simulation's hype pick?
my simulation thinks that Arizona is going to win. Okay.
Okay.
But last year, you want to hear this? On ESPN, I was like 93rd percentile by just picking random teams. It was
Oh, that's
ridiculous.
crazy.
Did Chattanooga win like 2 or 3 games? Because I had
I don't know.
some random team winning 2 or 3 games, and they actually won 2 or 3 games. But yes,
Alright.
that's it. Bye.
Raph, hit us with your pick because
Okay,
I know you want to.
My hype pick is 8 seed Memphis to the Final Four.
Oh my
And
God!
there
Wait,
you have it.
I ran my simulation a second time,
Yeah.
and it had Memphis winning, and I had to throw it out because it was too stupid. That's actually ridiculous. That's crazy.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
that's my hype pick.
All right. Thanks for having
That's
me,
perfect.
Sam. This is a blast.
Goodbye,
man.
everyone. All right.